Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Taimanin. Today we're gonna talk about Total War. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So these are like my first impressions on the mode, as well as a couple tips and highlights that you need to know about it. But I think I'll do another guide, a more in-depth guide later, because the mode just released. I have been playing this, but there's a limited amount of runs that you can do per day, so my experience isn't like I haven't mastered this just yet, but there's a ton of things that I have learned just by looking at the mode and the rules and everything. So I might as well share that with you guys. So let's talk about Total War. The first thing that you gotta know is that this is basically the same as Arena. Well, a little bit less effective, but kind of like Arena. Because on Arena you get coins each time you do a run, and it requires BP and gold. But in Total War, you just get the coins as your weekly rewards. So, for that we need to participate on both normal mode and relay ranking. And what you want to do, or most players want to do, is to reach this mark, this one. You're gonna get 1,000 coins if you do 1,000,000 damage, or you get 1,000,000 points, which should be one of your goals, to get all the rewards, or as many rewards as possible. The ladder is gonna be for the whales, honestly. I would like to say that that's not the case, but yes, the limited supports are always going to be the best. Only like day one veterans, F2P day one veterans might have a chance at the ladder, especially if they roll some specific busted limited supporters. Otherwise, I doubt that any F2P can participate in the ladder, being honest. I don't like that part, but it is not such a bad thing, and you're gonna see why in a moment when we check the shop. But don't worry about the ladder. What you want are these 1,000 coins by getting 1,000,000 points. Try to achieve that. Do your best. It doesn't matter if you don't achieve it at the start. We're still learning. It's normal. But try to get as many points as possible. So that's on normal ranking. If you do relay, you need to achieve 5,000 points. And for 5,000,000 points, you're gonna be getting 2,000 coins, which means that if these are weekly rewards, which they are, you can see here that next week, this is when the season ends. This season ends, so it's weekly, not season. This week's boss, I guess. You're gonna get 3,000 coins per week, and that's gonna be 12,000 coins per month. So now that we know the math behind it, let's check the stores. So in their stores, you can change the metal coins for different materials. And one of the materials that you can get is honor coins. Twice a month you can buy honor coins. It's gonna be an exchange rate, one honor coin for 10 metal coins. So you pick 100 coins for 1,000 metal coins, which is nice. It's nice that you're at least, as an F2P, able to get the honor coins. It's amazing. So, honor coins, you have to be very, very conservative with this. Do not spend them like without thinking. The only thing that I say it's a good thing to do is to grab these. These are 10 limited gacha coins for 200 honor coins, which you can get the 200 honor coins here. if you exchange them, and the exchange rate is the same. It's once a month. Well, twice a month, but you get 200, and you can grab this with those coins, which is amazing. The other materials are nice, but honestly, the one that I would recommend is this one. Honestly, it is more expensive than this. Probably this could be a better deal in certain situations. The UR Gacha voucher, but for someone who wants to drastically enhance their account, selecting a specific weapon is gonna be extremely good. Being able to grab, for example, Undying Apophis, being able to grab Ignis Blade, Luffy's Drop. There's a plethora of good weapons nowadays, so selecting the one you want is good. And by the way, this weapon is now useful. Thankfully, I'm glad about it. Crits back on the menu, guys. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a moment. So, anyways, let me check. So, basically, you don't want this one, because although it is nice to guarantee it, you don't get too many honor coins to begin with, and the only items that are really worth it are the voucher for a weapon and the limited gacha coins. That's about it. Because the honor coins are extremely difficult to get. Like, if you go over here on the ranking, I am on, let's see, on the first 50, and I'm gonna get 60 honor coins. Only 60! God. Save those things, guys. And on the relay mode, you're gonna get more. Relay mode is way more important, and I'm gonna give a couple tips on how to use that, guys. So, anyways, let's see. Here, what are the things that you're gonna want to grab? So basically, you want to grab the honor coins, yes, without a doubt, because as I mentioned, these two things are way too good to just ignore them. Maybe obviously you're not gonna get all of these vouchers every single month. In fact, it would be rare if that was the case, because you only get 200 per month and you need 600. So yeah, it's not a thing unless you're number one. So anyways, you want to grab this, so that's 2,000 coins. You want to grab this one also, the voucher for a butterfly weapon, which might change to something different, but I would like them to keep the butterfly voucher for a while. It will be pretty nice. So that's 7,000 per month. And then the bat coins. I would also do the bat coins, because getting desire is important, and it helps you reach pity for permanent supporters or renewal weapons, because those are the best banners. Let's see, so that's how much? 8,500. And we still have a couple more. Other than that, it's up to you on what you spend. Those are like the essentials that I would recommend that you get. And then the rest you can save or you can spend on what you want. Highlights too, for example, dismantling device. I don't need dismantling device because I do buy the golden pass. But for people who do not buy the golden pass, we finally have a way to get this. And it's really nice that it's weekly. So if you want to get this, use it. But this is for people who already have a good amount of supporters at 5 out of 5. I know that there's some useless supporter-ish, but for the most part you want to have a wide variety of supporters. Even the useless ones nowadays, thanks to this mode. So, then, we have the enchant booster. Yeah, the enchant booster 50% is one thing that you might want to get. It is horrible when it fails, but honestly, it's like not that common for it to fail. It happens, and sometimes in a row, but for the most part, it's going to help you with your last enchantment level. Use it only on the last enchantment level. Do not get the 10% and 20%. I do not recommend those. Do not get the skill points, not the Fuma plushie. The crystal kits are worth considering, but in my opinion, considering the scarcity of the metal coins, I would advise not to get these ones. There's other ways to farm crystal kits, and I think in the future it's going to become way easier to farm crystal kits, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. The emblems is not a good idea because they give us a ton of these on campaigns on boxes. Not a good idea. Not a good idea because it's better to do the VR points if you want that they are a little bit less sparse than this. This is not a good idea. Do not get these ones. Yeah, that's kind of it. The Crystal Mirage. It's good that they added this, but right now in this specific moment we don't need it just yet. But I think it's a start. It would be wise to start preparing Mirage crystals, like an absurd amount of them. We need more sources because the moment they reach the level cap, we're gonna need an insane amount because of the number of characters there are in the game. So yeah, well, basically this is essential, and this is essential. Everything else is up to you to get with the rest of your points. So try to get at least enough points to cover those items, because the honor coins you want for this monthly or to save for this. So that about the resources, how to get them, how much you get, and how to spend. But let's talk about the relay mode. So not the relay mode, the normal mode. For the normal mode, you're gonna select characters. Unfortunately, there is no preset function like on VR. There should be a preset function on this one, on normal mode, definitely. It is extremely difficult to get a score like these guys, I'll admit. And if we check the normal ranking, God, I don't know if people are hacking or how they're doing this, but God, are they crazy? Look at these scores. Oof. I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad at the game. CJ. Yeah, he's using a full red, but I'm gonna show you a couple of things later about the formations. And he uses St. Francis. I'm surprised about that because Francis, I don't see her as a good character for this mode. But no, Spinel is just disgustingly good. It's busted. And he's using his. Yeah, I was thinking about using this specific supporter, which is a relatively good idea depending on your build. Yeah. So, anyways, you see the absurd numbers. So, first of all, we have to discuss the boss. So, it is likely that they already have prepared different bosses for this mode, and that would be amazing. Maybe 3 bosses, or maybe we're gonna have again the VR situation where there's only one boss the first month, and we're gonna be fighting it while they prepare the other things, and then we get the new bosses. But Edwin Black is going to be a demon type enemy, number 1, so anti-demon Magatamas and weapons are going to be extremely effective. Let's see. Very quickly on that same note, I don't remember, guys. I'll have to do this. So, Spinel has Canna Blade. Astaroth has Wicked Star, which I don't see over here, but our Wicked Star Arachnid's bracelet for Astaroth, and she only has Arachnid's Scepter. Do I have? Yeah, here is the other weapon. And the characters for with Christmas weapons like Astaroth, Noah, Ingrid. Where is Ingrid's? It's because I have it over here. Ingrid. The Candy Cane Saber for Ingrid. There is one more. Whose was it? Yeah, Rudolph Crusher for Murasaki are gonna be excellent over here. Basically, nowadays you do want the VR weapons, especially for this mode. They're gonna be amazing. So, not only the VR weapons are good, but also the crit weapons. As I said, crits back on the menu, we're able to crit, and that's amazing, at least on this boss. And that means that you can abuse the crit SR weapons or crit UR weapons, which there are some crit UR weapons. You can also abuse anti-trade weapons. So basically, if you see a number on these weapons, because they are enchanted, is just a mark that they are anti-trade weapons or crit weapons or excellent utility weapons. So keep an eye for those weapons, check them, and be sure to enhance them. Especially as FTPs, those are going to be pretty effective. This is a different case. Don't use this one in particular. And this one is also a different case. Don't use this one. Those are for very niche situations. So yeah. Anyways, use your anti-trade, your critical weapons and such. They're going to be pretty effective. So, this mode is going to incentivize you using supporters that enhance your whole teams. And the most common way to do that right now is being either human or demon. And honestly, demon is the strongest one of the two. So maybe you want to build demons. Don't forget to put a formation. Formations are going to be extremely useful. Unfortunately, right now, because the mode just released, we don't have a formation for this mode, like the formations for VR and the formations for Battle Arena. So you'll have to rely on something generic. For example, this one increases damage dealt with melee attacks by 25%. It is extremely good, with the demerit that we get a damage increase taken from melee attacks. But honestly, as long as we are tanky enough, that doesn't really matter. And we're gonna be extremely tanky if you have the VR weapons. So get them, guys. I know that some players disregard them because, farming VR and such, but are they important now? So yeah, be sure to have your armory like this. For those who do not know, you are going to want to have weapons for 3 characters. Basically here I have weapons for Kirara, Asagi, and Sakura, as you can see. From those, 3 are from the demon set. I have a 4th one for a different character. No, which is the different character? Astaroth, yeah. Sakura, Kirara, and Asagi. We also have the permanent weapon or character release weapon. This is the Sakura's weapon. This is Asagi's weapon. This is Kirara's weapon. We also have the summer weapons. This one, and this one. And the 4th one, it's another demon, another demon weapon, yeah, but it's Astro's weapon. I always think it's this one, but it's this one. So with that much, we're gonna get this much attack. It's super important. You can go beyond this, yes, but you need the mileage weapons. And are you going to get 3 mileage weapons, guys? That's expensive, really expensive. Yeah, I'm not getting that. So anyways, so important things to take into consideration when doing this. This is an auto mode, guys. You are not controlling the characters. Many think that this is not as fun, and I kinda agree to some degree, especially when there's just a limited amount of runs that you can do per day, only 3. It would be way better if this was manual. But I like auto chess games, and it is not that bad because the fun in this particular mode is to make a strategy and let the strategy run and see if it works. Yes, there's gonna be RNG. There's always RNG, just cause, but there's more RNG because it depends on the AI. But even so, if your strategy is reliable, it's going to do an average, a certain amount of damage. Sometimes it's gonna go above average, but for the most part, it depends on the viability of the strategy itself, which I like doing different builds. I have been trying different builds, changing certain pieces, trying to go with mixed builds and such. Like, for the few runs that I have had, I have tested some things, and I'm seeing that some things are not as efficient. I was testing one of the best damaging dealers in the game, and it's pretty useless in this mode, and that's Saika. Why do I say she's one of the best damage dealers? Because of this weapon. This weapon is disgusting. It deals a ton of damage, but Saika has a big flaw for this mode, and it's the fact that she doesn't have that much natural super armor. Though she is able to deal a ton of damage, she constantly gets interrupted because she gets hit and she's not even able to start the combo to begin with. So, yeah, if your character doesn't have natural super armor, I do not recommend that you use it. It has to have some amount of natural super armor so that they take the hit and they continue to attack. Characters like, let's say, where is it? Rin. Rin is also going to be pretty weak here because of the attack pattern of the enemy and the fact that they get interrupted. The same goes for Rinko. It is unfortunate, but there's gonna be certain flaws. Also, attacks with big wind-up animations are gonna be terrible for this mode. Let's say Felicia on specifically red. Red is one of the best colors for damage dealing on Felicia, as long as she crits, and you can crit here. But that wind-up animation, you don't want to lose time. You have only 2 minutes to deal as much damage as possible. So you want skills that have like 0 wind-up animation or the least wind-up animation that they could have. And this is not the case. So, by the way, Felicia in this specific mode is not useful because of the fact that she is a healer, but she has to debuff the enemy, and the enemy has a special condition, which we're gonna see in a moment. At least not against this specific boss. So yeah, let's go back to the description of the boss to talk about that. So Edwin Black in particular has immunity to mind control and nightmare. Yeah, Gremory knows that Phantasma and Oboro are some of the most used characters in the game. Unfortunately for Gremory, Phantasma is still busted enough to use. So yes, we're still using Phantasma, guys. And I'll show you why in a moment. But, well, anyways. We can just disregard the fact that Edwin is immune to Nightmare. Mind Control is impactful, but I think it's good that one of the challenging modes has protection against Mind Control so that we abuse different things. Unfortunately, Edwin has some instances of attacks where he is going to jump and not be targetable, which reduces the DPS, which is awful. But we can manage. But he's vulnerable to super armor break. I think I haven't tested it, but he has super armor and he gets stunned, so you can abuse super armor break with White Feather Asuka. That's something that is available, but due to the kind of builds that you have to do, it is a little bit more difficult to actually commit to using White Feather Asuka. It's interesting. And then there is one more thing over here. Reduce debuff duration by 70%. That is disgusting because a ton of what we have been building for maybe a little bit over a year has been around debuffs because that's what we use on Taima 5 VR. So how are we going to perform here? How are we going to do damage and such? Well, the new meta revolves around buffs. One thing, while debuffs are not as effective, they can still be used. Particularly the Momochi weapons are excellent. If you have two characters with Momochi weapons and you have enough critical rate, you might be able to keep those stacks of huge damage increase up. And that specific buff is really useful. Another buff that is seeing a lot of uses, another debuff that is seeing a lot of usage right now is Frozen. Honestly, I am not that surprised that people are using Frozen because Frozen does double damage dealt to enemies. Unfortunately, this is not the best thing ever, but I mean, there's people using it at the very top, so I guess it is doable. Particularly because every 8 seconds you're going to be freezing the enemies, and you have to rely a little bit on RNG, but let's say that a character using their triple color skills deal damage to the frozen enemy. That's going to double the damage and it's going to do a tremendous amount of damage. So it is not that worthless Ragnaros as I thought it would be. It's actually pretty impressive. I don't think it's still a good idea to roll for this one. Unless... even if you're a Total War enthusiast, it's not a good idea even so, because you're gonna need more than just one supporter. So, yeah. Well, so let me talk about Phantasma real quick and why people are using Phantasma, even though the enemy Edwin is immune to Nightmare. Well, because she still has the damage reduction. But it's weird. I gotta admit, and I want you to tell me if I'm right. Maybe I don't have a keen eye and I just see the HP bar where they are not together, but I think that I have seen Phantasma next to Edwin and I don't see on the HP bar the defense reduction. Or maybe it's supposed to have a limited duration and she would need to get separated and then go back to apply the debuff again. And due to the what's the name, the debuff reduction, we finally see that the enemy just gets that debuff off. Maybe that's it, or maybe it's not working properly, or maybe I'm just seeing things and that's not right. Well, in any case, what are people doing with Phantasma? They're using, let me show you on the ranking over here. So they're using Ingrid, Lapis, and Ragnarok, along with the Momochi weapon, Slash Horror, Succubus Whisper, and Clinging Nightmare, and Phantasmal Mirror. Phantasmal Mirror is debatable. So not only that, they're also using Dreamclaw. So let me explain the reason why they're using this combination and these skills. So, number one, you saw that people were using on a mixed build a triple set skill. And why is that? Because regardless of that, you're going to be buffing the characters in the area, in your area. Yes, it's way smaller, but still a buff. And basically the characters are going to be all in front of the enemy and they're going to be together. That's why it's still useful, regardless of the set effect. Then, Dreamclaw and Shadow and Slasher Horror are skills that you want to use so that Phantasma's AI forces her to be near the enemy so that you constantly keep the enemy debuffed. That's why we have those skills. Then, Clinging Nightmare, because of the amount of multi-hit, it is really useful. Twister Dancer gives more damage than what's the name? Slash Horror, but the distance that it needs is different. That's why you want to use Slash Horror instead, so that the AI makes the character go near the enemy. And yeah, those are the skills that you want to use. This, and this, basically. Then, what about the supporters? Starting with the limited corporate Ingrid. Where is she? Here she is. So, people are using her because she's going to give your characters a damage increase, which works similar to Phantasma's aura. So it's a double synergy. It's a really smart thing to do, and pretty devastating at that. Then people are also using, where is the other one? Ragnarok. As I mentioned, Frozen is going to double an instance of damage. It is a lot of RNG because a lot of hits are gonna be a lot of hits are going to break Frozen, and they might do just like 1,000 damage. But if a triple color skill lands on a Frozen enemy, poof, that's gonna be a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, the duration is gonna be 1.5. It's not 1.5. 1 second 30 milliseconds, something like that. So yeah, it is not the greatest things because the debuffs get reduced on the duration, but still usable. Because you there are so many sources of damage when you have 3 characters that it's very likely that you're going to hit the enemy when it's frozen. Lastly, people are using Lapis because she is another form of Momochi weapon, which is going to reduce the enemy's defense just by using skills. So that's really useful. Also, you can use this on the main. It's possible to use it on the main to give critical rate to all your demons. Another popular supporter that people are using is Spinel. Guess what? This one counts like basically, this extra passive is basically a main effect, but it's for the whole party. So it's really good to increase the damage. What else? Oh yeah, the Momochi weapons. As I mentioned, having 2 of these is going to be really good because you're going to be able to keep the stacks up with 2 characters, and the last one can have an anti-trade weapon. Or you can commit to only using 1 and having 2 anti-trade weapons. That's also good. But there's not that many options, and that raises a concern here. Let's go to the store because we have the ticket. So, right now we have 4 VR anti-human weapons. We have 3 VR anti-demon weapons and only 1 VR anti-machine weapon. So, we definitely need another boss on VR, a machine boss on VR, with 2 weapons or 3 weapons, so that we can enhance more characters and prepare them for this mode. So let's hope that Gremory adds that mode, another PR boss. I mean, this is long. This is really long. But in regards to healing is important, yes, but you don't need a busted healer like Lapis. In fact, you can rely on only having healing skills like, let's say, Twister Dance, Crunching Fear, maybe having with your Gale Slash, the blue skill with France is the demon render. Just having one way of healing it's fine for the most part, because yeah, the enemy deals a lot of damage. But if you are at max level and you have pretty good awakening skills, you're gonna be fine. You're not gonna die for the most part just by having one healing skill. If honestly, I do not recommend people who haven't delved into VR to try this mode, because you really need aggressive, extremely aggressive builds on this mode, and going with survivability is not going to give you that much rewards. You might as well, just to try and get as much rewards as possible, but the way to go is with damage. So yeah, you want healing based on damage. You can also use a whatever healer, honestly, that gives you more damage. We're gonna analyze Shizuru later, but Shizuru is an option because she has a Sprout Garden. She's going to heal your party, and she has utility for the party. Not to mention her leader skill is going to give her more utility for the party. So yeah, she's an excellent buffer. Besides, people are using her on the ranking. We can see her over here. And why are they using this Shizuru supporter, which hasn't been very popular? Because now she's a buffer for the party, and this extends the duration of buffs given by the character equipped with this. So it's obviously very useful. And it's still using the limited weapon rather than the renewal weapon. So yeah, that's something to take into consideration. Another important character in the game that you want to use, Spinel. Why is Spinel important? Because she has Frenzy, which is going to give attack and speed for the whole party. Just by virtue of this, people are going to use Spinel a lot. Not to mention that she is a wielder of a VR weapon, and not only that, she also has an anti-human weapon, an SR weapon. So yeah, she's extremely strong. Not to mention the fact that the blue build is devastating, really devastating. And as you saw, for those lucky enough to have the Kurenai supporter, you can use it. There's one small disadvantage, which is the reason why I stopped using the Kurenai supporter, and it's the fact that you get the hit stun when you use the animation, well, the active. You see that it reduces your HP. Well, you receive a hit, and then you stop your attacks. For example, in the case of Maika, when she's using Megiddo Flame and you activate the supporter after Megiddo Flame gets interrupted and you don't do more hits, but you are still locked in the animation, so it sucks. So it is a small defect of the supporter dealing a hit stun. Honestly, it would be more balanced just to have the damage and not the hit stun, but well, it is what it is. Another thing you don't want, or well, in my opinion, because you saw that there's someone using this and it's very high, in my opinion, it is not a good idea to use a character that relies on snowballing mechanics like Intoxicate. I tried to use Onigoroshi, but it didn't perform because you need to waste some seconds on the animations of Onigoroshi just so that you can deal devastating damage. So you want to spend your time dealing consistent damage and maybe one big burst damage, rather than doing small damage to later do big damage. Honestly, it is kind of weird, but there's gonna be some characters that suffer from this problem. Let me know in the comments, guys, all the characters that you think are going to be useful and why you think they're going to be useful, and the ones that you don't think that are going to be useful and why you don't think they're going to be useful. Like, I have been experimenting, I have been testing things, and well, it is going to be rough. Party-wide buffs are going to be the way to go against Edwin, because the buff don't get a reduced duration, unlike the debuffs. Oboro is going to lose a good chunk of her viability thanks to this enemy. Let's hope that not every single enemy has immunity to mind control, but maybe some of them can have reduced duration or things like that. Party-wide effects are going to be extremely useful. Talking about party-wide effects, let's go to the supporters over here. So, which are going to be good effects to have? So, obviously, Lapis, as I mentioned, because of the critical rate. This is also fine because it reduces the damage from your demon teams. This is also fine because it increases the damage of your human teams. As long as it's on the main. Look at the extra passives, okay? Look at the extra passive on the active. Then, which other one? This one is not that great, even though it's there. You are committing to use an assist type team only for 16% damage increase compared to other ones that are way better. This one gives you, yes, 16, but it also gives you another damage increase. And this one gives you speed increase, which is useful, but it's not the same as a damage increase. Let's see. This one is going to give you damage reductions for more survivability, while also giving you penetration and also reducing the cooldown of your skills. Where is it? This one is going to give you more damage for your demons. This one is going to give you a decent amount of penetration for your human teams, which is amazing. But honestly, you don't need that much penetration, and I'm gonna talk about that in a moment again. This one is going to give you damage for your range attackers, which is a thing. This one is going to give you damage for your machines, but that's kind of the weakest because we only have 4 machines. So that's something to take into consideration. And yeah, well, that's kind of it for those. Well, very quickly, let me just do something. I gotta check. So Darius was kind enough to mention the stats. Give me the stats of the boss of Total War. Fortunately, the stats are the same for both modes, for normal mode and relay mode. And the stats are gonna be 3,000 critical rate, which is gonna be like a 30% critical rate. 3,300 defense, which is 33% damage reduction. And like 7,700,000 HP, and it has like, what's the number? 100 million shields. 100 million shields. You know, the shields are those bars that we break, basically. Or I guess those are the bars that we break. So, yeah. Penetration is not going to be as impactful as in VR. It is there, and you can use it. Especially effects like Kichi Asusas. That's gonna be amazing because it's for the whole party, and then it's actually worth it. But to use like single penetration, it's not as impactful as using damage increase, in my opinion, on this mode. I might be mistaken. I still need to test more, but it is just my opinion at the moment. Now, relay mode. This one is basically the same battle, but you have less time. You have a minute, and you're gonna face it with multiple teams, up to the number of Taimanins that you have. Which, honestly speaking, I didn't like. I mean, of course I like it, but the game is not balanced to do this. And what do I mean by that? You don't have enough inventory to have enough Magatamas for everyone to have Magatamas, and that's also insane to build. I have an insane account that has a ton of Magatamas. I basically have, not exactly, but almost every single attack Magatama. I have, how can I say this? It's 4 sets per each trait. It's gonna be 3 anti-traits, and I have 4 sets because one set is gonna be for wind, another one for water, another one for the offensive for the specific trait, for example fire for demon, and the defensive for that specific trait, ice for demon. Okay, so I have 4 sets of each anti-trait of red Magatamas. I also have 3 sets of critical Magatamas. I also have critical rate just cause, just for the fun of it. And I have the same as the red, but on blue, but those are not ready. They are still SRs. So I have an insane amount of Magatamas that most players are not gonna get because you need a ton of commitment. And I wasn't able to equip everyone with Magatamas. Which means that you need an insane amount of Magatamas to be on the ladder. And an insane amount of supporters, not to mention that. If you want to use all your characters, you could just focus on using like 4 competent teams. But even so, that's really demanding. Even on my account, it is insane to do that kind of build. But let's say that you want to do this. Let's say that you want to enter the rabbit hole. My recommendation in that case, if you want to do this insane trip, is to prepare just more critical damage increase Magatamas. Not only critical damage increase Magatamas. After you have the red ones, because you want the red ones for VR, you want to do as many critical damage increase Magatamas as possible so that you can equip your teams. Why do I say this? Because if they add more bosses with different traits, the critical damage Magatamas are going to be able to help you out with damage increase. And that way you're going to get a higher score. But what I'm saying is just insane, honestly. I don't think it is healthy to try to do that. Because here in relay mode, look, if I select, let's say, my Spinel, she's going to be with the build I was using just a moment ago. And let's see. My Tokiko doesn't have Magatamas. That's another bad thing. That since this is just so insane, obviously the developers don't want to use space to save the whole thing, which they should. We are just supposed to put auto assemble and that's it, and go without equipment. At the very least, they should also try to auto equip things if they are going to suggest this mode. Honestly, this is poorly balanced. The relay mode, the normal mode is fine. The normal mode is actually very fine, but relay mode is just not balanced to what the game, to the whole system the game does. The boxes, well, the storage space that you have, the kind of number of Magatamas that you have to build, like it would be insane to build for everyone and have everyone equipped. I don't know what they were thinking when they did this one. They should have put a limit. I understand that they want to push the boundaries of what accounts can do and reward everyone as much as possible for spending a ton of time here, but it is just not well designed. Sorry. This specific mode, the normal is fine, as I mentioned. Particularly, I think they need to expand and buy a lot the inventory. If they want to do this, they also need to increase the drop rate of daily bits and modules, or basically all the items. Just because I mean, it is just that demanding if they want us to do this mode, or well, to try to participate in the ladder. Also, you spend a bunch of BP over here. The healthy thing to do, guys, is to just try and reach the minimum requirement, or well, the 5 million points, and forget about it. That's the thing. Don't worry about being on the ladder. I mean, I am going to try my best to be on the ladder of this mode. I don't care about PvP, but PvE, I can do an effort. I can make an effort for this, so yeah. But honestly, just disregard the honor coins, the reward honor coins. The ones on the store, do buy them, but disregard them and just get the metal coins, as many metal coins as you can. Well, what else can I tell you? Another big disadvantage is that, as I mentioned, the game does not auto-equip. It doesn't optimize things. It doesn't do anything. And it doesn't even have the preset function, which they say they wouldn't do. And I understand, but they should give recommendation of how to do this mode. They should do a guide, Gremory itself, of what's their vision of how players are going to use this mode. Because as a player who has been on the game for 4 years, it is kind of weird to think that I am going to set my team to play without Magatamas. I mean, the first ones are going to have the Magatamas, but then I don't have enough Magatamas for the last ones. That feels odd. And not to mention that you didn't see it, but I was using very strange combinations of supporter at the very end. Look at this. Look at this. They don't have enchantment. I don't have enough copies. I was just using combinations of supporters just to activate the set effects that weren't really cohesive, but they were there. Like, I don't need her to be tanker, but I don't have anything else to equip on Noah, so I put Akina. And I was like, okay. And she's not a basic enhancer abuser, but here we have Kowaru, just goes. So, yeah, honestly, if they want us to use this, and I wouldn't say that I'm a... No, I'm a whale already, not a Leviathan, maybe a dolphin, something like that. I do spend, and I do have a good amount of supporters, and even so, I don't have enough for everyone, so that they do things proficiently. I'm not saying like everyone is bossed, but I didn't have enough crit supporters for Inage to do its thing. And I was using this, which is a good supporter for crit on the main, but other than that, it's not like the most broken crit supporter. So, yeah. Well, Gremory needs to I don't know, give us guidance on what they were thinking when they did this mode, if at all. Yeah. So that's kind of it, guys. That's kind of it. Am I missing someone or something? Let me just check. Nope. That's kind of it for my first impression / tips on this mode. Do not bother too much with this mode. This is meant for whales and veterans, honestly. If you haven't been here from day one, you're not gonna have enough supporters. Even me, which I have been here from day one, and I have also spent some amount of money on the game, I don't have enough supporters. So they really need to add more ways to get supporters, the F2P supporters even, just as filler for the rest of the gang. As I mentioned, if I got like a ton of F2P copies of decent damaging supporters, like what's the... I have it here, like Kotone and Ichika, that will be fine. But yeah, well, Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about this mode. Honestly, for the most part, it's just going to be a way to farm materials for most players. Only a handful of players are going to be involved in being on the ranking and everything. And you shouldn't like try your very, very best to be number one on this. It is not really that worth it. It's only 100 metal coins. And while they are extremely rare, it's not that useful because, as I mentioned, there's only like 2 good items on the honor shop. So yeah, well, that's about it for today. I hope you find this useful. Let me know in the comments everything that you think about this mod. The good, the bad, the recommendations that you have, everything. If you have any questions, you may ask as well. And I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!